So the next step is to start the GranitView program. So I did in the assignment that I gave to you guys, which you're going to see, it's going to pop up around 7:30 tonight. I do have a link to this program. It is an online program. It is free, works with any web browser. So once you start it up, it comes up and looks like this. And the first thing that you can do under Quick Tools is you can zoom to a city, town, or zip code. So in this case, I'm going to zoom to City of Berlin. And if you notice, I'm typing BER with small letters. This thing is very picky. It wants to, you got to use the drop-down box to make it work. So most of these cities and towns have an initial cap. Once you do that, you click on the zoom button and it will zoom in on the city of Berlin. After that, what you want to do is click on the view layers button. Okay, now there's all different kinds of layers here. I have in my notes to you on your assignment, I have gone over these, so you don't have to memorize this. I will go over each of these layers, and then I will have crib notes basically available for you in your assignment. So the first thing that we want to do here is we're going to import the two KML files that we saved earlier. So we're going to go to data sources and we're going to upload the data, and we're going to browse, and I'm going to getting the North rebuild and I'm uploading it. Came up with the North rebuild. Now it's going to ask me what colors I want. So in this case, I want it to be a red. And so I'm going to actually type in a red code, RGB code. So it's consistent. 255200. And I'm doing the same thing with the outline color. 255. You don't have to do this. I'm doing it just so that, you know, the colors are same when I bring it into the map. Okay, so it brought that trail in. And now I'm going to do the same thing again, upload, browse. I'm grabbing the south trail. $25500 gives a pure red. Those are called RGB codes. If you've never heard of it before, it's just a way of specifying colors. Proceed. Okay, so now I've got these two trail segments in my map. So now the next step is I want to go in and I'm going to turn some things on in this GranitView. So the first thing I'm going to turn on, I have administrative and political boundaries. So it's going to give city, state, town, and county boundaries. But what I'm really looking for is parcel mosaic. I want to turn that on. I want to turn parcels on. And then I'm going to go out to the right here and I'm going to turn on toggle labels. And what that's going to do is it's going to show all the different parcels in the area. And it's also by toggling the labels, when I zoom in, it's going to show me the map and parcel number for that parcel. And that's going to allow me to look up landowner information later on. Okay, so you can see now I've got some map and parcel numbers. Okay, I'm now going back. to home view layers. Okay. So the next thing that I'd like to do is I'm going to turn on under cultural and demographic. I'm going to turn on trails. Now, this is handy if you're in my case, I'm redoing these trails. And so, you know, it's sometimes handy to have all the different trails around. But if you take a look down here, it looks like I'm in the wrong place. It looks like these trails are in a different location than my GPS mark that I made. And the reason is that the trails in GranitView are not always accurate. So you have to be careful about using trail data in GranitView. It's not always up to date. So I happen to know that this trail was rerouted to where the red line is, and the trail over here to the right also was rerouted as well a few years back, and they obviously haven't caught up to it yet. But again, having trails there can be handy in certain circumstances. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to turn on is under inland water resources. Okay, and I'm going to turn on inland water resources and NWI plus. And I believe NWI is National Water something or other. I can't remember now. But this is really kind of a federal database of water areas around rivers, streams, and includes flood zones. I mean, it's got a ton of information here. But the bottom line is, if you see blue or purple and your trail's going through it, better be really careful. It's probably not a place you want to be. So as you can see, if we look at the red lines again, and we look at them in relation to the purple and blue, you can see that we're not going through any of those areas, so we're good to go. We're not going to need any special permits. However, if you take a look here, there is a river crossing here. And so what we got to do is, you know, that if we're building a new trail, then this would require a trip out to the site to figure out if this is a big enough river that it requires a bridge or if it can be crossed with a culvert. So obviously when you're building ATV trails, if you can do it with a culvert, that's great. But any river that's over 5 feet wide cannot be crossed with a culvert. And really, practically speaking, if the river is more than 2 feet wide, you probably should be bridging it. So, you know, the only time we really use culverts is on very low flow streams, or if we're taking drainage from one side of the trail to another. If we're crossing, you know, brooks or rivers, we're building bridges. And we generally build bridges to be strong enough to be able to support a dump truck, a fully loaded dump truck, which basically means 100,000 pounds or 50 tons, however you want to look at it. Okay, so we've now cleared our trails. We know we're not having problems with water, so we're going to turn off this water inventory. We really don't need it right now. Okay, so the next step is we got to identify the landowner for this trail. And if you take a look, I've got these numbers here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see them a little bit better. Okay, so in this case, it's map 402. Don't look at the beginning numbers. Look at these numbers in the middle. Map 402, parcel 32.10 is what this means. So it's map, parcel, subparcel. So now the next step is I'm going to go to the Berlin GIS system, and I'm going to look up map 42 parcel 32.10. So I've brought up City of Berlin as this online system, and I could find it by just looking at the map, but I really want to use their find tool. I'm going to put in the parcel ID. 402. 402-32.10. And boom, up it comes, and it's even highlighted it here in the Berlin map. And it's telling me, oops, let's try that again. Okay, and it's telling me that it's owned by State of New Hampshire Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, which I fully expected. I knew this was part of Jericho Park when I took this project on, but I wanted to show you how you would go about looking up landowner parcels. Now, if your town or the town you're doing a trail in does not have an online system, you can still call them up with these map and parcel numbers and get the landowner information over the phone. Most towns are willing to do that. Worst case, they'll make you come in and look at it on a computer screen in the town offices. But I also, since I do this a lot in a lot of different towns, I purchased this program called TerraStride Pro. And this program basically allows me to look up any landowner information in any town without having to go down there. Cost me $150 a year, but trust me, it pays itself back in the amount of time that saves me every year. So I'm kind of trying to show you how to do it without spending a lot of money. But, that's, and a lot of towns do have GIS systems now where you can look stuff up.
Larry,
Yes.
What's your experience with some of the town systems where, we have a situation where we know that there's a new property owner and yet they still have not updated their GIS mapping even 2 years later?
So in that case, you really you really want to go in and talk to the tax people, the tax assessor, because they always have up-to-date records. So I've run into that before. If there's been usually if you call a town and say, I'm looking for the landowner of a parcel, most of these folks are really clued in as to what's going on. And they'll say, oh, that was so-and-so's parcel, but it's just been sold. And if they don't know the landowner info, if you go to the tax assessor, they will. But, it's just something you run into. Parcels get transferred all the time, and you got to be, ready for that. It's just part of the game,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.